Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and today I'm coming to you with some very high bank sources, and I'll expound on that in a minute. We have some high-level, top secret insider sources that you must hear. SwiftGo launches low-cost. This is something I did not cover this in my first video, not because I didn't see it, but because I have seen so many of these, what many would call FUD articles about an XRP killer or somebody that's going to take out Ripple and these things, that I've seen so many of them that I just kind of roll my eyes now. So, but I decided to cover it again because of a video that I saw, and I'm about to show it to you. SwiftGo, just to give you the gist of this article, SwiftGo launches low-cost network with 7 major banks. The service might be seen as a possible threat to the real-time payments network offered by Ripple. Okay, now I want to make sure that, so in other words, they go on to talk about how all these banks are joining this network and all of this type of stuff. And many of these banks are banks that we know have worked with Ripple. Okay, BNY Mellon would be the one that comes up on my radar first, not because I know that they work with Ripple, but because there's way too many connections between them and Ripple. So the other thing I want you to understand before I show you this video clip about this is you need to understand that the Digital Currency Group owns CoinDesk, this publication, okay? And the Digital Currency Group, as you'll find out in this video, is owned by a lot of banks, okay? But this is the video I wanted to show you. And these are not my words, they're his words. BitBoy, who's the largest YouTuber on YouTube in crypto, says, got a source very high in a major bank. And he's talking about this SwiftGo article. I want you to listen to what he says.
Here is what's happening. You want the truth? You want the truth on what's happening with this story? SwiftGo is a new platform designed to compete with Ripple, okay? That is not what this is in reality. This is a testing system to get banks accustomed to using this kind of platform. Got a source very high in a major bank. Very high in a major bank. Laughed at this story when I told him about it. He laughed. And you know what his first words were? This is the testing ground for Ripple. Ripple blows SwiftGo away. This is an integration. This is slow integration into Ripple adoption from these banks. All these banks are in the financial cartel. Every single one of them. Digital Currency Group, owned by them. What are they heavily invested in? Ripple. We're talking about XLM people, right? XLM, okay. You guys want to know what XLM is? It's the same thing. Ripple, before Ripple gets this full integration, XLM we're seeing with Ukraine right now. XLM is going to also be slowly rolled out as a tester to get all these banks ready and prepared for the full Ripple, the full XRP rollout that will be coming.
Okay. Now, we joke around a lot on this channel about how he always has these very high inside sources and all this stuff. I sure hope that he's right. I sure hope that he does have these sources. Even though I don't make a habit out of saying this kind of stuff, and I've told you I've never had any high sources. I would love to have some secret, top secret, high-level bank sources. I've been doing this for 3 years, and I just haven't gotten any yet. Maybe I need to invite. I'm formally inviting people. If you would like to be the official inside source, the official high-level bank inside source of the Digital Asset Investor channel, we are looking for someone with that title. I need inside sources. I need high-level, top secret, major inside sources. Please apply. Digital Asset Investor 2018 @gmail.com is my email address. If you would like to be my high-level bank source. And only actual bankers that can show me their email address that's from a bank need apply. Okay, now this is Perry Ann Boring from the Chamber of Digital Commerce, and I thought that she gave a little bit of a BS spin on the reason that Bitcoin is not going to be used as a payment system and it's only going to be a store of value. And so I had to show you this clip. Listen to this.
Oh, thanks, Brian. Perry Ann, you mentioned you're talking about this as an investment and not as a medium of exchange, a currency, if you will. Have you kind of decided that it's not going to be widely used in terms of purchasing products at a retail store? Or even I notice when individuals are transacting, at least what I observe, it's mainly Venmo, not Bitcoin.
Yeah, I actually believe the IRS made that decision for us in 2014 when they declared that digital assets like Bitcoin would be taxed as property, meaning they're taxed at the transaction level and they're subjected to capital gains and investment. And tax policy very much influences human action and human behavior and market activity. So it was created to be an electronic payment system. The white paper issued by Satoshi Nakamoto explained it as a peer-to-peer electronic payment system. So that very much was a part of the vision, but Bitcoin has really emerged as a store of value, as a medium of exchange. I mentioned there's thousands of cryptocurrencies in existence today. There's been a lot of talk about stable coins over the past couple of weeks, especially in DC from a regulatory perspective. Those were really created to serve that role of payments. So there's different types of roles cryptocurrencies can solve. Again,
no, the correction here is that Bitcoin emerged as a store of value because all of the billionaires and Bitcoin maxis had to get in a conference room once they realized this thing was not going to work as a payment payment system because proof of work doesn't work. And they said, look, we don't want to sell this. Our cost basis is too low. So we've got to figure out a marketing campaign so that we can keep this thing alive and we don't have to sell. That's what I think happened. And I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think that's the fact, Jack. Crypto veteran Bobby Lee predicts Bitcoin peak over $250,000 before massive drop. Now, so he's calling for $250,000 later this year. But then later, and then he's calling from a massive drop, I think. But then later on, he says, I think it'll have a bull cycle every 3 or 4 years. And in 10 to 15 years, he thinks we're looking at, I predict in the year 2024, 2025, it'll cross 500,000 and might even touch 1 million. So there you go. And Bobby Lee, I believe that's the brother of Charlie Lee, the creator of Litecoin. Now, Jeremy Hogan pointed something out, and for those of you who have forgotten, this morning, I think at 9 a.m. is where I read somewhere, the William Hinman did his deposition with Ripple, or at least part of it. So I didn't know some of this. Jeremy Hogan points this out. Hinman deposition frequently asked questions. The deposition is not a public hearing. You can't listen in. A deposition is sworn testimony and can be used just like the deponent was in court. In this case, the deposition will be used in Ripple's motion for summary judgment on fair notice. And he's answering this question. He says, I would say that we probably won't see the entire transcript of the deposition until summary judgment briefs are filed in November. But I think we will probably see parts prior to then because I can't imagine there won't be issues for the judge to decide on privilege objections. And then Brad Combs from Digital Perspectives asks, thank you for all you do, Jeremy. Quick question for you. Do you still see this case ending in summary judgment? What do you think the chances are for XRP not being allowed back on secondary exchanges? We won't hold you to it. LOL. Thank you in advance. Yes, both Section 5 and fair notice defense should be decided at summary judgment because there's no real issue of fact for the judge or a jury to decide. I think if Ripple loses, in other words, XRP is declared a security, the bigger exchanges like Coinbase will register to sell securities and have a monopoly on XRP. I'll take that a step further. If they lose, if you define lose as XRP being declared a security, what I think is going to happen, I think that's when the big boys are going to be coming in. Goldman, JP Morgan, BNY Mellon, Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, you name them all. Plus, there will be a handful of exchanges that are going to be allowed to have those securities license, and Coinbase and maybe Uphold and maybe a couple of more. My bullet fell on my keyboard here. A couple of more. And then guess who's going to determine who gets securities licenses that are crypto exchanges going forward? That would be Gary Gensler, who was at Goldman Sachs for 18 years. Where do you think his loyalties lie? Okay, see how this game works? Now, we talked about how Gary Gensler had started his own Twitter account, and I just decided I would go into underneath some of it and see what people were saying. Here's John Deaton. Welcome, Chairman Gensler. I speak for 19,000 XRP holders who have sought intervention or amicus status in SEC and Ripple. The SEC opposed our motion. Since your agency objects to us being heard in court, will you take a meeting considering we are the people you seek to protect? And then, let's see, that's Rob Licker weighing in. But then here's what I find interesting. So Hester Pierce welcomes him to Twitter, I guess. And then Gary Gensler goes and thanks her. But he doesn't take the time to even recognize John Deaton. And then all these people are complaining and talking about, he doesn't pay any attention to them. He's just going to thank Hester Pierce for his important step towards transparency, and he's not even going to give the investors the time of day. Makes sense to me based on everything else I've seen. And then we've got this breaking news. Elizabeth Warren, Senator Elizabeth Warren, urges U.S. Treasury Secretary Yellen to crack down on cryptocurrency. That's from Politico. Then we got this. Tomorrow morning, Senator Warren is going to be on Squawk Box talking crypto after today's Senate subcommittee hearing. Cryptocurrencies, what are they good for? Now, she's got a major agenda, and she's also the one that demanded that Gary Gensler give Congress some kind of a crypto package for legislation or whatever. And so that's supposed to come down. What's today's date? Today's the 27th. She said by tomorrow. So she'll be on there tomorrow, and I'm assuming Gary Gensler has already handed her his book report, if I had to bet. XRP, Bart, and I also would assume that they are buddies, and this is a plan. Now, Binance CEO, I'm not going to go deep into this article, but I wanted to mention this guy has been getting just killed all over the world by regulation and countries cracking down on Binance.com. So now he says he's willing to step down as the world's biggest crypto exchange welcomes regulation. And he says that they aim to set up a number of regional headquarters around the world. So in other words, he's folding to the pressure, and they are starting to have regulations come down on them. Now, our old buddy Jay Clayton, yesterday, One River's carbon neutral Bitcoin ETF has been submitted. So the guy who turned down everyone's Bitcoin ETFs over the last few years has now got the gall to submit as CEO of One River. He's going to submit his own Bitcoin ETF. If I were working at the SEC, I would quite literally give him the bird. I would put my hand underneath in one of those. When I was a kid, we used to put our hand in the copy machine and then print off copies. I would literally flick him the bird underneath the copy machine as SEC commissioner. I would do it on SEC letterhead, and then I would mail it to him as a response to his application. Okay, but Gary Gensler is a Goldman Sachs white shoe boy, and as you know, Jay Clayton represented Goldman Sachs, so they're all on the same team as far as I can tell. So I'm sure he will not be doing that. He'll probably approve the darn thing. Okay, and then we have BlockFi is being gone after in the second state. I think it was New Jersey that cracked down on BlockFi the other day. Now Vermont is saying they have 30 days to convince its commissioner not to impose cease and desist on the crypto lender. So this is the second one in this week. Now, this, who you're looking at, is Jack McDonald, who's from PolySign. He's the CEO of PolySign and the subsidiary, which is Standard Custody. I was watching this video of him, an interview, and I found this interesting clip that I wanted to play for you.
The other thing that makes us unique is we're the only custodian that has a blockchain at our core that was designed by Arthur Brito and David Schwartz, and that's certainly taken on meaning for the regulators. I think it was a lot of what gave New York regulators confidence in giving us a license as a new company. It's also been very favorable in the eyes of the insurers. And frankly, it just gives us a much greater sense of security for the assets in terms of what we can do in a very agile and scalable way. And also from a regulatory compliance standpoint, it's unique. It provides an immutable audit trail of every step of every transaction. And that's proven to be quite meaningful in the eyes of both investors and regulators. Okay,
very interesting clip, but not quite as interesting as this one. What you're watching here on part one is Larry Fink, who's the CEO of BlackRock. He's telling everybody, this was back in April of 2021. He's talking about how his clients have absolutely no interest in crypto. And then in part two, it's the Standard Custody CEO, Jack McDonald, and he's talking about the exciting things Cowen Investment Bank is doing with crypto. In other words, with Standard Custody. The thing that we're not talking about is the largest shareholder in Cowen Investment Bank is BlackRock, okay? And I'll show you. BlackRock, top 10 owners of Cowen Inc. There you have it. Now listen to this, and it'll remind you of what Jamie Dimon did. Remember, Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan, he just opened up crypto to his clients and customers, and now, and back in for the last 2 years, Jamie Dimon has done nothing but talk bad about Bitcoin and crypto, and now he's selling it to his clients. I don't think Larry Fink's story is going to end any differently, but this just gives you a good indication of how these people work.
Well, we are not having those conversations, and maybe they're talking to somebody else. So I don't want to suggest that we have perfect information, but our broad-based client relationships we've had very little interconnectivity on the conversation on crypto other than a fascination. I can tell you it is, the amount of conversations we're having on climate risk and how they should navigate portfolios is a major component of the conversation. The conversations about our deficits and the conversations we're now having on inflation risk is far more dominant with our clients worldwide than the whole conversation about crypto. But if you're asking me specifically about long-term investing from sovereign wealth funds, from pension funds, from retirement services, from big family offices, the conversation about crypto is a very minor conversation compared to so many other conversations.
In the relationship we have with Cowen, we have a bit of a bundled offering where they can take this to their clients. And frankly, Cowen's going to be the first investment bank in the industry going to market with a bundled approach for trading, whether it's spot trading or derivatives or swap trading, custody through us. They're building out their prime brokerage offering, their capital introduction offering, their research offering. So they're really looking at it holistically of how can they bring to market a very comprehensive digital asset strategy that's really replatforming their global markets business that Dan Charney runs and having a digital component to that. And that's really, really exciting. And frankly, it's groundbreaking. There's no other bank in the industry that's doing that as front-footed as Cowen is.
Okay, so BlackRock is the largest owner in Cowen, and Cowen is going up to their eyeballs in digital currencies. But of course, BlackRock clients just have no interest whatsoever. Isn't that what we've been watching for the last 3 years? I wanted to remind you, I didn't think I had shown you this one, but iTrustCapital, who is one of my sponsors and I'm their customer, they added Engine, which I know nothing about. Engine, now available in your Crypto IRA, revolutionizing the video game industry through NFTs and true ownership. They believe virtual worlds of tomorrow will evolve into an interconnected digital reality. So if that's something you're interested in looking into, go for it. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that they have added Engine to the IRAs on iTrustCapital's website. Go check it out. And I have a coupon code in the description of this video and links to iTrustCapital if you need them. Thanks.